The ongoing Australian Open Day 3, and we've seen lots of upsets, especially in the men's category, as defending champion Rafael Nadal has been knocked out. But let me bring you breaking news from the women's game, and that's the fact that Nadal Raducanu has been knocked out by Coco Gauff in straight sets, 6-3, 7-6, 7-4. That ended as the 7th-seeded American booked a place in the third round of the fixture. For Nadal Raducanu, it's another early exit from the Grand Slams, and it's understandable considering a lengthy battle with various injuries, especially the ankle injury she sustained just last week. Well, now let's talk about Nadal. Rafael Nadal, yes, the men's defending champion, has been knocked out, and that came as a surprise to so many against Mackenzie McDonald, the American underrated player, knocked him out in straight sets, 6-4, 6-4, 6-2. That ended 6-4, 6-4, 7-5. I beg your pardon. That ended as Rafael Nadal got knocked out. Now, it must be said that Rafael Nadal battled with a hip injury early in the second set of that encounter, and that affected his mobility on the court. In fact, the trainer had to come on court to treat him before he took a medical time out, and you could understand why he couldn't even, pose a threat, so to speak, in terms of disturbing the rhythm of McDonald, who capitalized on the injury. Rafael Nadal, this is his earliest exit from the Australian Open since 2016, when he got knocked out in the first round by Fernando Verdasco. In fact, it is his earliest exit, in Grand Slams, with the exception of the Australian Open in 2016. And once again, it cast doubt on the future of Nadal in the sport. He was gone in for a record 23rd Grand Slam title prior to this setback, the latest setback for Nadal. Remember last year he had lots of injuries, and that also affected him. He had to take painkillers or pain-killing injections in his left foot, to address the problem right there before he went on to win the French Open last year. He also had to withdraw from Wimbledon, the semi-final clash, as a result of abdominal, muscle injury. The same thing happened even after the US Open. The last 8 to 10 months has really been challenging from him, also battling with rib cartilage as well. So it's yet to be known if he will be out for a long time. He would undergo medical tests today and in the coming days to ascertain if it's a muscle problem, a joint problem, or a cartilage problem. Right there, talking about is the hip injury he sustained barely 2 hours ago. It's a sad one really, and let's see if he's able to bounce back once again. It definitely opens the path for Novak Djokovic and others to capitalize in that sense. Well, still talking about the Australian Open, the men's category, you had Felix Auger-Aliassime also make a recovery of some sorts. It was 2 sets down, 6-3, 6-3, lost the first 2 sets, but he bounced back to win the remaining 3 sets to pick his place on the next round. And the Canadian had to pull all the stops, in his repertoire to be able to get the job done, because it was quite shocking when he suffered the first 2 sets loss, as it were. But that was a remarkable return against Alex Malkan, 3-6, 3-6, 6-3, 6-2, 6-2. That ended in favor of the 6th-seeded Canadian, who is just 22 years old and has so much to offer in the sport. Remember, he had his breakthrough season last year. It will be interesting to see how he fares going forward. Other players who booked their places in the men's category includes Yannick Sinner, who was able to record a straight sets victory over Thomas Elkvery, as well as USA's Francis Tiafoe, who won 6-4, 6-4, 6-1 against Zhang Zhusheng of China. Again, these are players that you should expect to get into the second week, barring any injury. Let's turn our attention now to the women's category. I brought you breaking news earlier that Nadal Raducanu had been dumped out by Coco Gauff, who booked a place in the next round. Let's talk about Swiatek. Yes, the world number 1, the top player in the world. Iga Swiatek also booked a place in the next round of the Australian Open, and it was another routine win, straight sets victory, it must be said. No problems whatsoever until late in the second set, where she lost the serve, but was also able to bounce back within 2 games to win that. So another routine win, 6-2, 6-3 for Swiatek over Camila Osorio, and she next takes on Bianca Andreescu or Kristina Buska, and that should be a matchup that Swiatek would definitely favor herself of getting. Beyond Swiatek, you had Jessica Pegula also book a place in the next round, 6-2, 7-6, 7-5. That ended over Alexandra Sasnovich. While you also had Maria Sakkari, make a comeback victory over Diana Schneider, 3-6, 7-5, 6-3. That ended in favor of Sakkari. So in the women's category, the big guns are pulling the stops and are progressing nicely, while in the men's category it's all about the upsets. To the NBA now we go. Yes, the Philadelphia 76ers were in action against the Los Angeles Clippers, and that was a game that they almost squandered a 17-point lead at some point, but they rallied back to grind out the victory, 120 to 110 points victory for the 76ers. Joel Embiid, the talisman, got 41 points, massive 41 points it must be said, against the Clippers to get them going. He also amassed 9 rebounds in that game, and it was the 5th straight game for Joel Embiid with at least 30 points, showing once again that he's an MVP contender. The win is also the 3rd straight victory for the 76ers, who are now 28 wins and 16 losses into the season. You had Tyrese Maxey score 22 points, Tobias Harris with 20 points in there, not forgetting James Harden with 6 points and 9 assists. A quiet game for Harden, you want to say. Meanwhile, for the Clippers, Kawhi Leonard had 27 points. Paul George made a return to the side following, his injury spell due to a hamstring injury that saw him miss 5 games. He was also able to score 13 points as well as amass 8 boards in there. While the Clippers have now suffered their 8th loss in the last 10 games. It means they are now 23 wins and 23 losses into the season. Not looking good for them in terms of injury, because they still have John Wall out indefinitely as a result of an abdominal soreness, while they also have Luke Kennard battling with a right calf soreness that has saw him miss 6 successive games. Not good for the Clippers at all. They'll be taking on the Utah Jazz next, and that will be on Wednesday, while for the Philadelphia 76ers, they'll be taking on the Portland Trail Blazers on Thursday. Away from that, let's talk about the Milwaukee Bucks. Yes, the Milwaukee Bucks without Giannis Antetokounmpo are getting the job done. They played against the Toronto Raptors, and that was another win for them. It now means they've won 2 of their 4 games without their talisman Giannis Antetokounmpo. This time around, it was Jrue Holiday who top scored for them with 37 points, amassed 6 boards in there, and also dished out 7 dimes to get them through the finish line. 130 to 122 points victory over the Toronto Raptors. You had Grayson Allen contribute 25 points to the cause of the Bucks as well, while we know quite well that for the Raptors, it's Fred VanVleet who top scored with 39 points. Gary Trent Jr. contributed 28 points. Pascal Siakam had 23 points in there. We're not forgetting Scottie Barnes with 14 points and 13 rebounds. But that wasn't enough for the Raptors, as they are now 20 wins and 25 losses into the regular season. The Bucks are 29 wins and 16 losses into the season. Remember, Chris Middleton missed a 17th successive game due to a right knee soreness, while, as I said earlier, Giannis Antetokounmpo missed his 4th successive game due to a left knee soreness. So it means the injuries are piling up for the Bucks, but they're still doing well in terms of trying to grind out results. They'll be taking on the Cleveland Cavaliers next, and that's on Saturday. That's a massive matchup. You should watch out for the Cavs, especially Donovan Mitchell, not forgetting Darius Garland. Meanwhile, for the Toronto Raptors, they'll be taking on the Minnesota Timberwolves on Thursday. That's a match that should be interesting as well. Wrapping up basketball discussions, let's talk about the Denver Nuggets, yes, who are boasting of 2-time MVP, and that's Nikola Jokic. Jokic once again showed that he's indeed the reigning 2-time MVP of the NBA with a triple-double, his 13th of the season and his 89th in his career. This time around, it was a massive 36 points, 12 rebounds, as well as 10 assists in there to get the Nuggets over the finish line. 122 to 113 points victory over the Portland Trail Blazers. Now, for the Blazers, they had Damian Lillard, known as Dame Time, pouring in 44 points, but that wasn't just enough. Jeremy Grant had 18 points in there. Yusuf Nurkic amassed 10 rebounds as well, but the Blazers succumbed to another loss. Now, the stunning thing about the Blazers is they're a formidable side at home, but away from home, they are definitely in a rut. The loss is their 8th successive when it comes to away games. Not good at all for the Blazers. They're 21 wins and 23 losses into the regular season, while for the Denver Nuggets, they've joined the 30-plus team teams when it comes to wins this season. They have 31 wins and 13 losses. It is their 14th straight home win, and that shows you how formidable they are right there at home. They've joined the likes of the Memphis Grizzlies as well as the Boston Celtics to boast of 30-plus wins this season. Jamal Murray scored 17 points. Michael Porter Jr. also contributed his own course as well. It's looking good for them this time. Well, let's move to football. Because of time, I will have to talk about Liverpool. Straight to Liverpool we go. Yes, the FA Cup took place yesterday. Liverpool, the replay against Wolverhampton Wanderers, the reverse fixture ended in a stalemate 2-2. That ended as Liverpool had to pay for, some little errors here and there, schoolboy errors you want to call them. But this time around, they were able to get the job done, grinding it out, getting back to basics, as, Jurgen Klopp, the coach, said prior to the match. A stunning Harvey Elliott strike within the first 13 minutes of the game was enough to see Liverpool get the much-needed win. And this time around, they're going back to face a team that dismantled them just the last weekend. Talking about Brighton Hove Albion. They'll be playing Brighton Hove Albion next in the FA Cup, even as they try to defend their title. Remember, they won 2 domestic titles last season, but they are only able to defend one at this point because they're already out of the Carabao Cup.